You're listening to Fucks Given, the one where we talk about non-monogamy. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So highly anticipated. I feel like every single time we talk about non-monogamy, we just get an influx of people wanting to know more.
Yeah, I swear non-monogamy is such a hot topic at the moment.
So
it is it's everywhere. You're seeing like throuples and poly relationships, and depending on what app you use, you see it a hell of a lot. Like me and my girlfriend are looking for a partner to play with.
Exactly.
And non-monogamy is really the umbrella term for everything that isn't monogamous. So
I wonder if you could go as far as to say that non-monogamy is in fashion.
You probably could, yeah. Is it a trend? Like how the kink scene was. The kink scene's been in fashion. Threesomes, feet have been in fashion. There was a while where you saw like loads of music videos and there was like feet and all the celebrities were
there's obviously
it.
like all these like Netflix shows that have like polyamorous relationships or like open relationships. So that's, it's becoming more mainstream, and it really fucking is in fashion. But I guess before we get into what we give a fuck about today, what have you been up to, Reed? Oh, it's been so long since I spoke to you.
I mean, actually not a fat lot since I broke my foot. That's kind of like put brakes on me getting fucked diddly up down. So
have we even spoken about that on the podcast?
I don't think so. Have we?
I don't think we have.
Oh,
so
shit.
what actually happened? Because it was kind of, it's actually relevant because you were on your way to a date.
I was literally on my way to a field date, yeah. Field date, not like field as in the dating app field, not field as in like, I'm on the field.
I'm on a field.
I was thinking like, yeah, let's like war.
Field date, yes.
First liners.
Reenactment.
I mean, it really literally felt like that because of breaking my foot, so...
You were in the wars.
I had just been in the park with my mate hanging out and on my way to a field date, which was going to be great. We were just going to meet up, have a drink, go back to his and fuck. And that's what both of us wanted. And he was into the same stuff as me, like really into like C&C, which is consensual, non-consensual play. So I was like really excited for it. You look really fit. I was like, cool. And then on the way down into Waterloo Station, as you get through those steps, like past the escalators, through the steps to go to the Northern Line, I just slipped on the stairs in my sandals. So it was my sweaty foot slipping in my sandal.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. We all know that feeling so well.
And normally you're just like, oh, that's close. But no, I fully went arse over tit all the way down the fucking stairs. Okay, well, that was an exaggeration. It was halfway down the stairs.
Still, falling down the stairs is not fun.
No, it was terrifying. I shat myself. And not literally this time. this time. And landed on my foot badly on the way down. Scraped up my shin. Broke my nail and my fingernail and my toenail.
Oh my God, imagine if I fell down. I'd like break every single nail.
Every nail would go.
I would have no fingernails left.
That's not something to laugh at, but it's a hilarious thought. And then I still hobbled. And like a couple of people did stop and help me, bless them. They were really sweet. There was one guy and he was like, I'm so sorry, I have to go, but are you okay? And then there was another girl that's like, do you want to use my shoulder to walk down? And I was just like in shock. But ended up hobbling.
You're like, no, get away from me, COVID.
I know, I literally was like, COVID, but I was like, I cannot put any weight on my foot. How am I going to get down the stairs? So yeah.
I think, in those circumstances...
And I would say to everyone, if you see anyone fall over, anyone fall off their bike, anyone have an accident like that, go and talk to them and see if they're okay. And also talk to them afterwards a little bit as well. Not, unless you've got somewhere to be. But just sit there and normalise it and make a joke out of it, because people are generally in shock and they're just a bit like, what the fuck has just happened?
What happened to me?
Especially because I just thought, oh shit, I've sprained it. I'll carry on going to the date. So I went from...
I can't believe you actually went to the date after this.
That's how much the thirst was there.
You are a trooper.
Told you, man, it was a field day. I was on the front line. For every vag and cock out there.
But you did
take one with the team.
Did you end up shagging, or was the pain all too much?
The pain was too much. I got there, we had a chat. He opened a beer and I used my beer to put on my foot. And I was just like, look, I'm sorry, I'm not in the headspace for this at all. So I ended up getting a cab home and then going to the hospital the next day. Because he was convincing me. He was like, it's not broken, it's just sprained. It's just sprained.
You never would expect it to be broken. You just never would think, like, oh, I've literally just fell down the stairs and broken my foot.
I didn't think it was... I mean, I've never... I was like, there's something wrong. I was like, it doesn't feel like a sprain, but it might be a sprain. I am a pussy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so dramatic, drama queen, pathetic. I'm just like,
this is really going to put a spanner in the works to all your sexual activities, isn't it?
That's exactly what's happened. For the past week, I've just like I've not even had a libido. My libido's completely dropped off. It could be a number of other reasons, like my period's coming up or the weather. It's been really hot here. And that's kind of put a spanner in the works. But yeah, other than that, I'm just like, well, how am I going to travel to get fucked? Like, I don't understand. I had a date tonight with the couple, with the dom couple that I spoke about, and I've had to cancel, and I'm really sad about it because I'm just so scared about my foot or knocking my foot or not even being...
You won't be able to be fully free in your mind,
relaxed,
basically.
Present, which really sucks because it would be great to get fucking dirty and down, but... Anyway, enough about my broken foot because I've milked it all this week. How about you, Florence? What's been going on in your life?
Not much, really. I'm sitting here with my duvet behind me to see if it makes my sound better, but it's like my cum-stained duvet. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it?
I can't see any cum stains.
Well, it has got a lot of them.
But I have seen them. I have seen them in the past. Those bed sheets. We both have the same bed sheets because we fell in love with them. And the stains on my days. Bamboo bed sheets, guys. Bamboo bed sheets. The way of the future. The way of like comfortable sleeping.
So soft. We need to get a bed sheets sponsor because
that would be so good.
Obviously, like your bed is where you have like your sex. And
I've basically thrown away my other sheets. Like I've got like Egyptian cotton sheets and shit, and I don't use them anymore. It's all bamboo. Like all of them are bamboo. They're just so fucking good and eco-friendly, which is lovely. Depending on where you get them from. Don't get them from China.
I had sex this morning actually. And last night.
Oh, did you? Very nice. How's the vag? What's she saying?
She's good actually. Although, because I'm like just about to be on my period, I feel so bloated and it's like a fucking heat wave here. So I'm bloated, I'm hot,
sweaty.
I feel like my whole body is like swollen and I just feel so unattractive, but I still was just horny and I needed to get laid.
Sometimes you just can't help yourself. It just has to happen. Needs must.
Exactly. And I went for a week without sex because I went to Devon last week with my mum and my sister.
Very nice.
A week without sex and without masturbation.
Oh yeah, without masturbation, fuck me. I was like, we without sex people can do that. We've done longer than that, Florence. We've done like 3 or 4 months in our relationships.
Yeah.
But a week without masturbation.
Relationships.
A week without masturbation, that is torture.
So, what do we give a fuck about today? We are giving a fuck about non-monogamy. One of our favourite subjects.
Yes. We talk about this a lot.
We do.
I'm worried about calling it in fashion, but it is, unfortunately. But I think a lot of people hate the term or would hate the hearing that it's in fashion. We don't mean it's like fashionable and cool to do so, but we do mean that it's talked about more. It's in the mainstream at the moment.
I think what's happening is that there's like a social consciousness of like decisions to start treading away from the structure that society has laid out for our relationships.
Yeah.
And like we're all finally like getting to that point where we're like, oh right, we don't actually need to like get married at a certain age. We don't need to stay like we don't need to fall in love with one person and stay with that one person for the rest of our lives. We're all just getting a little bit more clued into the fact that relationships can be whatever we want them to be.
Right. Happily Ever After was bullshit that Disney created because of their Christian values, their religious values. Yeah. And actually, I mean, a lot of it is religion. And it's
capitalism as well. Like it's fully capitalism. Yeah. Like the American dream, like the family structure. The wife stays at home, the man works.
Traditional values.
It's just... and yeah, you're right. Thing is, it is really religious, but it also started with the ownership of land.
Yeah.
Like monogamy.
And also the protection of women, I've heard. So they talked about marriage in that, and they made the rule up where it's like you basically can't fuck other people outside your marriage.
Yeah.
Was it adultery? Oh no, wait, that might be religious. But it was to do like with the protection of young women who were unfortunately getting non-consensually fucked by loads of other people. And with marriage, it was only non-consensually fucked by one person. So you sold off your daughter to that person, they got married, and they just got to non-consensually fuck her instead.
Yeah, I mean...
medieval times, man.
The thing is, the concept of marriage and the concept of like monogamy can be so beautiful, and I think it does actually work for a lot of people.
We are not penalising anyone who loves that dream, who wants like the one person living with them for the rest of their life and wants the marriage. That's absolutely fine if it works for you. But most of the time it doesn't work for people, even if they want that. And then that's when you get like disappointment and hurt, and the idea of a breakup is just so devastating.
Well, it's like it sets the breakup as a failure, and that's just not what a breakup should be.
No.
A breakup is, it should be a good new start for both people in the relationship.
The progression of life and learning about yourselves and like excited.
Learning about yourself.
Like a new chapters for yourself, because like otherwise life would be...
Yeah.
It could be more...
But, I guess it's interesting because I say that I'm non-monogamous, but I'm definitely more on the monogamous side of non-monogamy for sure. Like I've been with my partner, well, if you like count from when we first started seeing each other, it's like over a year, and I haven't, like, whilst being with him, I haven't felt the urge to go fuck other people. I'm not really that bothered. But I like the idea of there being an option there. So, like, say I went on holiday, like, me and you went to LA or whatever, and I was like, oh my God, loads of sexy Americans, please. And I don't want to be... You know what? One of my main reasons for wanting to be non-monogamous in this way is when we went to hedonism in Jamaica and I was in my monogamous relationship, you got to like explore with so many other people, and you like really got to like have the experience of like the sex party, the sex resort, and I really wanted to get involved when I was there.
Yeah, of course,
and it didn't mean that I loved my partner any less. It was just like I want to experience all these sexy things, and like it's just sex. It was a completely different thing to my relationship, but I didn't do anything because I was respecting the relationship and I didn't want to cheat on him. Obviously we had discussed what I was allowed to do before I went, and it was like basically
nothing.
You
can masturbate,
you can watch
alone. Okay, you can watch.
You can watch. And I don't want that situation again. I don't want us to be in hedonism in Jamaica or like at another sex party for work, or like, I don't know. I don't want to be in a situation where I can't have fun if I want to have fun.
Well, that's how Thomas and I saw it. It was like when we started with the non-monogamy train, which was a very slow process. It wasn't just straight away. We both saw it as like, well, if there was an opportunity that might not ever come up again, why would I want to stand in the way of that for you? That's a very exciting life experience. You know, if you were at a party and an orgy broke out and they were like, come and join us, I wouldn't want you to be like, oh, I really, I couldn't because what my partner thinks. Like, go for it.
Yeah, that's exactly my thoughts. It's just like, I don't want to ever get in the way of my partner experiencing life.
Yeah.
Like things, learning new things about themselves, exploring new connections. And I want the ability to have that as well. So I think that's quite magical, really.
Magical, just like Disney wanted. Right. So let us introduce you to our amazing guest, Poppy. Hi, Poppy.
Hey, Poppy.
Hello. Hi.
Hey.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for being here.
So nice to have you on, because we, of course, know you from Self and More, and you just being an incredible person online and in the non-monogamy community. So we just had to have you on.
Yes, you are the perfect person to come onto this episode, to be honest.
I am quite the ethical slut, so excited to be here.
Absolutely love. So in your words, can you talk to us about non-monogamy? Like, how would you define non-monogamy as a whole?
Oh my God, that is such a big question, isn't it? Because it's so
right.
Yeah, that's massive.
You know, thought I'd make it like really, really easy for you. You know?
Yeah, really easy. Thanks, Reed.
It's such an interesting topic because everyone who exists within non-monogamy does it in a completely different way, and one person's definition of it, someone else would be like, no, that's not what it is for me. But for me personally, I've been non-monogamous for about 6 or 7 years, and over time that's developed from just being, I know, it's quite a while now. And
that is a really long time.
I know, it's weird. It's weird because that's how long I've been with my current partner, and we've been together about 8 years now. And you know, when you look at that and you think, God, I'd never be a person who's in a relationship for 8 years, and then suddenly you are. And it's very
maybe because you're non-monogamous.
Yeah, I think that's why Thomas and I were together for so long, because the non-monogamy thing ended up where my needs weren't being met, I could get them elsewhere.
Yeah, definitely.
So what made you decide to be non-monogamous in the first place?
So I had always had fantasies about group sex and sex parties and orgies and threesomes and all those kind of things. But obviously I was in a relationship with someone that I loved, so I couldn't just go off and do that alone. So I obviously had to pitch it to him. And fortunately, funnily enough, he was okay with the idea of having sex with other people. And we had some fantasies that kind of aligned. So that it started off very much as a sex thing, and then over time gradually developed to, I now identify as polyamorous, and we have kind of more long-term and intimate relationships with other people too. So it's graduated from that sex thing to kind of an all-round thing.
So for people that don't know, what actually is polyamory?
So I would say that being polyamorous is knowing that you have the capability to have kind of emotional or sexual feelings for more than one person at a time. And within that, I guess there's loads of different structures. Like you can be a solo, single, polyamorous person and know that that's what you want to enter into. You could be in a throuple and have feelings for two people at the same time. Or you can have like a primary partner and then other partners around that, and like just infinite other ways. And for me personally, it's that last situation of having a primary partner who I live with, and we've been together for a long time, but we both see other people, but it's more than just sex.
Yeah, the way I've heard about it, because polyamory can be quite confusing for people who don't understand it, but someone explained it to me like, oh, but how can you love multiple people? And it was explained in that, well, you know, if you have multiple children, you wouldn't love them individually any less. Or if you have two parents, or if you have a brother and sister, or more siblings even, then that doesn't stop your love for one of them. It doesn't get separated out and sectioned out. You just end up feeling love in a different way for them.
That's so
I saw this
true.
really cute message. Right, so cute. I was like, that explains it so well. And I saw this really cute message on Instagram, which was like, polyamory is like you being in love with somebody who's also falling in love with other people, who's also like, while you're also falling in love with other people. And I was like, my heart. I want everyone to be in love. That's just adorable.
It is super romantic. The things that I've always thought about polyamory was just like, how do you have that much sort of like mental capacity to share yourself with so many people, like without too many people eating up like too much of yourself, you know what I mean? Because you know, like being in a relationship, you have to give away like part of yourself and your time for that person. So how would you do that for multiple people? And I think that's probably something that most people do question about it.
I imagine there's a lot of admin. Time.
A Google Calendar shared between multiple partners.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the time thing that really like hits on the head for me. I don't really have an issue with sharing myself with multiple people, because I think we do that every day and we're so used to like giving little bits of ourselves away to new people all the time anyway. But the time thing is an issue, like especially if you meet lots of people that you want to spend more time with. There really are only so many hours in the day, so you really have to be selective about kind of who you're seeing and what you're doing, and make sure that it's all kind of rewarding and you're not just burning yourself
not leaving anyone out.
Yeah.
Madness. Well, we've got like a bunch of questions from our audience. Our little Instagram Curious Fuckers Club asked a bunch of non-monogamy questions, so we're gonna have to ask you because some of them are so cute.
Everyone is so curious about non-monogamy. Every single time that we ever talk about it, there are just so many questions on like how to make it work. A lot of people are really intrigued about it, it seems. And what me and Reed were saying earlier actually is that it seems that we've gotten to a point where in society people are actually opening up to the ideas of not like non-traditional relationships, and it's really exciting.
It is, but I want to put a disclaimer out there, because the way that we're talking about non-monogamy sounds very well, it sounds like the next level, and we've talked about this before, where monogamy, it's not like non-monogamy is better than monogamy, and we have to state that, because a lot of people might be feeling in, you know, if they have always wanted to be monogamous, or they're in a monogamous relationship, like, this is why I'm unhappy, is because I want this, and that's not necessarily the case. We're talking about it from a point of view that we've experienced that, and it has sometimes worked and it hasn't sometimes worked. So please don't think that non-monogamy is like the better version of monogamy. It's not. They are two very separate, different things. And monogamy can be so beautiful and wonderful. When you're in love with somebody, it's just you two, and all you have is googly eyes for each other, and you want to spend the rest of your life together. That is fantastic. It's a different form of love. So please just gotta be aware. What are you laughing at? Googly eyes.
Googly eyes for each other. I love that. It's so cute. I'm just imagining like two people looking into each other's eyes of like the biggest like cartoon eyes.
Like the stick-on eyes, the ones that like shake. And they're like, hi, like really over the top. I love you.
Yeah. I think it also just really depends on who you are and what you want in your life as well. Like, and also, as we were saying earlier, is that non-monogamy has so many different levels. Like, you could be like the most non-monogamous person ever, and then you could have like, you know, you just have maybe like threesomes, or you go to sex parties,
or even just flirting with other people. You could be super monogamous, but you and your partner have a rule where if you're at a bar and you want to drink, it's okay to flirt with another person to see if they want to buy it for you. That could be a version of your non-monogamy.
Yeah, it really could
or
be.
talking to people on the internet, or liking people's Instagram pictures.
Yes.
Like, people have different kind of boundaries about all sorts of interaction, don't
being
they?
on dating apps, like flirting with people, because some people just like being on dating apps anyway, just because it's kind of like a fun game.
Yeah, you make the rules with non-monogamy. I mean, you make the rules with monogamy anyway. You could still be monogamous, but be like, yeah, like, we're monogamous, but it's okay if you go and flirt, because I don't see that as anything else. You make the rules.
Yeah.
Nobody else. Fuck society. Society sucks.
I think that's a really important disclaimer as well, because I think people can, when you talk about non-monogamy, people do automatically think sometimes you're trying to convert them into your cult, and it's absolutely not like that at all.
Yeah.
The reason we speak about it is just because we want people to know there are other options out there if monogamy doesn't work for you. And if it does work for you, that's incredible and that's beautiful. And I think, you know, that's what a lot of people want, isn't it? A fairy tale, and to be with one person forever. And if you find that, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, think about it, like, two-person relationships are fucking complicated and difficult. Imagine if there are more people involved. It doesn't get easier. It can do.
It definitely doesn't.
It can if you have great communication, talk about everything, but it doesn't necessarily mean it gets easier.
Yeah.
More people's feelings
it's an interesting one.
To meet.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's weird because you kind of think, I don't know if this will come up with one of the Curious Fuckers questions, but like when you're with someone in a non-monogamous way, the way that you have to communicate with each other brings like a deeper connection with you both, because you talk about like jealousy and you talk about like those feelings that are really uncomfortable to bring up to the person that you love.
Yeah.
And the fact that you have these conversations then creates like it creates like more of a fondness for that person, that they could be so vulnerable with you, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that is literally one of the questions, how to handle jealousy. And jealousy can be seen as quite a negative term. Like, I don't know whether we need to change it into envy, because I've been wondering about this, because I've always said, non-monogamy is almost a bit like a sexuality or a gender. It's hard-coded in you. It's something that you've always wanted, or like that's just like part of your being. But of course, there's not enough science or medical tests out there to prove that fact. And is it to do with nature, or is it to do with nurture? Is it to do with the partner that you're with and how comfortable you feel? Is it your self-esteem and how confident and trustworthy you feel? Or, you know, like, oh well, if they're flirting with somebody, there's so many variables that comes with non-monogamy. I mean, do you guys ever get jealous, Poppy?
I think so. My partner is immune to jealousy. I think that's part of the reason that he enjoys non-monogamy, is sometimes it forces him to feel a bit jealous, and he's like, wow, that's a rush. So I think
that's a feeling.
Yeah, that's a feeling. And that's what we're all after a lot of the time, isn't it? Just to feel more things. Me personally, I felt more jealousy when we were monogamous briefly for that kind of year before we opened up, because there were so many more unknowns. You know, if he was on Instagram liking someone's pictures, or if he got a message through from a girl, I'd be wondering, like, who is that? What is their relationship? Does he like her? And then once you kind of start talking about all those things, you know who all these people who are messaging him are, you know how he feels about them, and it takes away all of those kind of unknowns and allows you to just kind of feel like comfortable in the relationship that you have. So I think like jealousy does still kind of rear its head sometimes, but it's the things that Reed was touching on, like the how secure are you within yourself in that moment, and how well is your partner treating you and communicating. And if you can understand where the jealousy comes from, it's much easier to work through it rather than let it fester.
Jealousy doesn't have to be a bad thing. Jealousy could be like as you said, oh, that's a feeling. I have never felt that way about a situation like this with you, and because I care so much, this could be a really good thing. But it depends on how you deal with that jealousy. If it comes out in a really negative way, if it makes you feel shit about yourself or unstable in your relationship, that's when you guys need to have a talk and have an open discussion and find out and figure out where that comes from.
Yeah, I actually find jealousy a bit of a compliment. When I was with my ex, he just never got jealous. And I would ask him, he was like, yeah, I just don't really feel jealousy. I was just like, fuck you. Like, I'm sitting here like jealous of every single woman that you talk to. And like, I was in the monogamous relationship. I was scary, like in the whole like jealousy front of things, like so overprotective. And like whenever he talked about an ex, I would be like,
but I don't know if that was you. I feel like that was maybe the relationship that almost like built you to be like that.
Oh yeah, 100%. And like the relationship that I'm in now, when either of us feel any jealousy, like when he feels jealousy towards me, like at my birthday party, actually, I was talking to one of my friends who's a guy, and like afterwards he was like, oh yeah, like when you were talking to your mate for a while, like I was actually sitting over here getting a bit like jealous. And I was like, oh my god, that's actually so cute that you
thank
feel
you for
jealous.
telling me, you know. It's like, it doesn't have to be this whole like, why the fuck are you talking to them? It could be like, I actually felt jealous, like wow, like that's a really cool thing to feel. And
I think as long as you're communicating about it, and I've definitely felt like jealous in certain situations as well with him, and it feels, you know, it makes me feel more alive in the relationship, and it confirms that I have deep feelings for this person, but it's not the jealousy that I was feeling before when I was monogamous. I mean, I can't really say like I'm fully non-monogamous now, because we're basically in a monogamous relationship as it stands. We haven't really properly explored anything, but there's just, I think, just the way the relationship is, jealousy means different things, which is really interesting.
I think there's a difference between jealousy that makes you uncomfortable and jealousy that is painful and actually hurts. And I think the latter usually comes from like a problem with the way that they're treating you, or a problem within the relationship, whereas the former, like
or within yourself.
Or within yourself, but the kind of the mild discomfort can almost be a turn on or a compliment, or as long as you kind of talk about it and work through it.
Sorry.
I was just going to say, in your relationship, Poppy, like how do you deal with the moments that you do feel jealousy?
I just kind of blurt it out. If I'm jealous, I don't kind of sit with it for a long time. I'm just like, oh, that made me feel a bit jealous, or oh, that made me feel something bad. And just kind of say it straight away and get it on the table so we can discuss it, and I can figure out kind of like, he can ease my mind and say, okay, well, you don't need to worry about that because of this. Or we can discuss like the behavior that made me jealous and change it, or decide whether I'm being irrational, and then just kind of move on with it.
I think jealousy is really toxic when you don't talk about it, because that's when it festers
and
then it grows. But as soon as you talk about it, it's out there in the open, and you're dealing with it basically, and you just get over it so much quicker, and you're like, oh, you know what, I'm fine. Yeah.
I feel with non-monogamy, actually with any relationship, not just non-monogamy, you really need to know the right tools to be able to communicate. And we haven't been taught those tools unless you go and do something like therapy, which actually teaches you how to communicate. I am terrified when my friends are like, yeah, we're going to try non-monogamy, but we're not going to actually like tell each other who we fuck. I'm like, I feel like that's just a recipe for disaster. And you know what, you can do that and it might work for you, but every time I've seen it happen, it has not worked and it has ended in tears and heartbreak.
Yeah, that whole don't ask, don't tell
scary,
thing. Oh, yeah.
No, that's fucked. No, it's just if you can't have it all out on the table and you can't tell your partner everything, then something's wrong, either within yourself, within your partner, or within your relationship.
Yeah.
And I do think you do often
Talking
find
is
that
how it
partners
works.
are comfortable explaining different levels of detail. Like I will happily tell my partner everything about the people I date and what we do and what toys we used and what position we were in and where we went on a date and everything, but he's a bit more private and he'll tell me, we always tell each other we're going on a date or we're seeing so and so, but like beyond that he's not an oversharer and I am, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works for you as long as you communicate.
Does that make you feel okay?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Would you love to know what was happening?
Sometimes it depends what kind of mood I'm in. Like sometimes we're like, yeah, tell me more. Sometimes it's kind of hot, but then sometimes
please tell me more.
Please tell me more. But sometimes it's a private thing between him and whoever he's seeing, and like I feel the same sometimes as well. Like sometimes I have relationships where I'm like, especially when it's fresh and new and you're really excited about that person, you might want to keep it kind of private because it's kind of special to you in that kind of moment, and then maybe when a little bit of time elapses you then feel ready to describe more of the details about what you were doing. But I think for us, as long as we're always saying I'm going out and you can expect me home or you can't expect me home, and as long as we kind of know that, that's fine.
Yeah. How do you work with so like if you go on a date or if you see one of your other partners, do you have like a level that you communicate with your primary partner, like and then do you have like specific time that you have to spend with them afterwards?
I think as a courtesy, like whilst on the date, if it's a new date with someone new, kind of check in and we say it's going well or it's not going well, and it's that kind of thing. No one wants to be sat at home wondering whether their partner's going to come home or not. Like that's not a good feeling for anyone, so we always check in at that point where we've made a decision about staying out and be like, okay, I'll see you in the morning, love you, bye. And then we do typically spend some time together the next day to kind of like reset and just make sure everyone's feeling okay and there's no kind of discomfort there, but there's no kind of hard and fast rules.
It's almost like aftercare, really.
Yeah, it really is, but like for the longer term. I mean, you can make up your own rules, and when we say that, we don't mean like set these rules out at the very beginning, because you're not going to know what they are. You have to like it's a lot of trial and error and testing stuff out and seeing how you feel and talking about them. But my last partner and I, one of our rules was not to tell. My partner didn't want to know before I was going to go and fuck someone, because like generally speaking, I'm a planner. I plan a fuck and that's what I want to go and do, and I come back and he was like, I don't really feel comfortable with that because I'm sitting there overthinking it, but you can like tell me afterwards. So we had that rule set in place that worked really well for us, but we didn't know that until we've had to actually try it and realize it didn't work out, and then try it again in a different way, and again it's all this trial and error.
You have to go
we
through
do
a
have
few
another
kind of
question for you.
moments. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say on the rules thing, when we first started being non-monogamous, he went on a date on a Sunday and I was really hungover and feeling very needy, and it really upset me. And for like months after that, we had a rule of no dates on a Sunday. And then eventually you realise really rigid and it's silly, and we can date on Sunday really, but it took us a while to kind of realise that.
Rules don't have to be like dead set rules like we've learnt at school. It's not the law. It's like these are flexible rules that can change. That's what we like.
Communication. So we have an amazing question from our curious fuckers that actually emailed us in on our email address, which is FKS podcast. Wait, what actually is it? I just forgot what the email is.
You sound like me.
FKS. Yeah, it's just FKS given at comecurious.co.uk.
Oh fuck. Got there in the end.
Shit. COVID brain. Okay, so the question is, I have a question about open relationships. I'm a pan man in a relationship with a bi woman. We are in... It's weird. It says I'm a pan man, in brackets, superhero.
Oh, because it sounds like Pan Man.
Oh, little joke.
It's like Pan Man. I don't know.
We've got a comedian.
We've got a comedian on our midst.
Pan Man. Fighting
so
crime with frying pans. I don't know.
we are in an open relationship and it works great for us. Only thing is that I would like to and am meeting more people than she is. How do you deal with one partner meeting more people regularly and making sure the other one doesn't feel left behind? I guess it's easier and safer for guys to meet people without worrying, whereas she likes to chat first, suss them out, and make sure they're not a creep.
I mean,
That's fascinating.
It doesn't really sound like it's an issue that he's dating more people. Like,
No.
it doesn't say anywhere there that the other partner's upset by it. So if that's working for them, then great. Just
Yeah.
There could
you
be a
don't
lot
have
of
to make it equal.
I
There
guess
could
he
be-
probably feels bad. Like
That's
he's obviously got something in his head where he's like, oh no, I feel bad. He sounds like he's feeling a bit of guilt, which I think is a very common feeling as well when it comes to non-monogamy.
Yeah, especially when you build yourselves up to have like an equal relationship and you want like pure equality. You know, you both do the chores, you both put the same amount of work into it, and then if maybe your sex life is off kilter a little bit, it can feel like you're doing something wrong when maybe you're not. Maybe that is just how it works perfectly for you. Like, we forget that we don't always have the same libidos, and you have to kind of work around that, and your libido can change as well. Like it might originally be different, but then you might go through different parts of your life, or like there might be hormones involved that change your libido. So as long as both of your needs are being met, then you're not doing anything bad. It's not like you can't really ask your partner to go fuck more just so you feel less guilt.
Yeah. Also, you just need to communicate. Like exactly this question that you've written into us, have this conversation with your partner and be like, I actually feel a bit bad, or like, I'm worried about you being left behind if I'm sleeping with more people. Like, how do you feel about this? Are you comfortable with it? And if she comes back and she's like, actually, I do feel a little bit uncomfortable about it, and I feel like I would like us to be seeing like the equal amount of people, then you can have the conversation from there and see how you can kind of make it work for your relationship. Because I think also it's kind of fair for one of your partners like to have reservations if you are sleeping with loads more people than you are. It could be a bit like, oh, do you really have to like sleep with that many people?
Or FOMO, like I want to, maybe, you know, we don't know, maybe she's trying. Although generally speaking, it's much easier for the woman to get more, like to get laid more than it is for the man. And not saying that your non-monogamous relationship has to be like that. And have those gender roles, but like generally speaking, dating is just easier for women because I feel like we have a lot more control in this situation. But all you can do really is just be completely honest and just have those discussions over and over again. Or if you don't feel comfortable with it and she's not giving you the answer that you're wanting, then maybe just stop seeing so many people and see how that feels.
Yeah. And you know, non-monogamy and being in an open relationship, it's not a competition, and the person who's having the most sex or seeing the most people doesn't win. So, you know, the way that you're viewing it, perhaps seeing less people is just the right pace for her. Maybe she might even enjoy the days where she gets to be at home and have a night in alone when you're off on a separate date. So you might find if you have that conversation, it might actually be a positive thing that you're doing that.
You could just be looking for loads of sex, like fucks, and maybe she's looking for more meaningful relationships. Like, it's not to say that it is unequal. It might just look very different.
Yeah.
So, Poppy, do you have any memorable fucks that you can think of while while you've been in a non-monogamous relationship?
I think one of the most memorable fucks for me was the first non-monogamous fuck that we had together. And the first experience that we had of that was going to a sex party, and we actually ended up going home with another couple.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, we were like winning the sex party, yes. And we went back to their house, and we were kind of nervous, but we were also quite drunk at this point. So we were very excited as well. We went back and we just had this like really fun exploratory night where it was the first kind of time that either of us had seen the other one kiss someone else. And that was like so many different emotions, but it was actually kind of a turn on, which I was quite surprised by. I had expected to just feel jealousy, but actually I was like, well, that's pretty hot. And even more than the experience itself, it was the next morning at like 9 a.m, both of us in last night's sex party clothes with like an overcoat on, getting the tube home, and just feeling really like in love and like, wow, we really just did that. We did that. And it was so okay.
That's how I found sex with other people in a non-monogamous relationship. It almost brings you and your partner closer together. Because it's either that you're like, oh wow, like it really makes you appreciate and you're grateful for what you have with that person, especially if it's something that you can bond over. It's such an incredible feeling. Or if your partner goes and does it, then you feel so happy for your best friend getting laid, you know? You're just like, yes, fucking get in there, like I'm so proud of you. That's the healthy side of it. That's what it should feel like if it's good and if it works.
Definitely. And do you know what? There are sometimes when I just feel completely neutral about it, and it's neither here nor there. Like, he'll tell me about a date and I'm like, cool, that happened. And then there are other times when he's really excited by it and his enthusiasm kind of makes me enthusiastic, and we're both there like, yeah, that's great. And I don't know about you guys, but I actually find when, you know, I have great sex with another person, I come back to him even more horny, because I'm like, well, I just had something good, I want more of it with you.
Exactly, taking bits.
What was it like exploring, like the first time you explored it with a foursome, rather, because I feel like most people's introduction to non-monogamy is through threesomes, because they are the classic
textbook. Foursome, it was interesting, and to be honest, it was a little bit one-sided because we both really fancied the girl, and the guy was kind of a bit of a spare part, but he was nice or whatever. It was great. We all got involved. It was fun, but so yeah, it was interesting, kind of like sharing a person, and then the other guy, I feel bad now, he was kind of just watching for a lot of it. Now I'm thinking back.
But maybe that's what he wanted. We don't know.
Yeah,
maybe he wanted the voyeurism. Maybe exactly.
I just found it really hot watching my partner with someone else, and also like, do you know what? The guy wasn't just sitting on the sidelines. Like, I do remember my partner like kissing him as well, and that kind of unlocked this thing in me that I didn't know that I had about enjoying watching guys with guys.
Two guys.
And that's like,
God,
so
multiple
hot.
dudes. Kissing dudes.
Like dicks and mouths.
That was my first love, my first interest throughout my teenage years. Just dudes on dudes.
Dudes on dudes. It's so hot, and that's one of my main things now. Yeah. So it was great having that unlocked.
Oh God, stop!
That's so exciting.
I think the scarier thing, like the foursome and the sex parties and all of that was fine. I think the scarier thing was the first time going to have sex with someone else or going on a date with someone else without my partner there, because you have to work through all of these feelings of, am I cheating on them? Is this okay? Like all of these ingrained social kind of ideas. And I was really hesitant at first. And it wasn't until I was actually on the date and having a nice time and then snogging the person that I was like, oh no, this is fine. Okay, this is good. Like, I'm excited. And I'm still excited to go home to my boyfriend, even though I fancy this person and we're having a nice time. And yeah, that was kind of a bigger deal to me than the kind of group sex side of it.
But it is different. It's not like all of a sudden while you're kissing or fucking this other person, you're like, I just, you know, like I feel I've never felt this way about somebody, you know, like it's like, oh, this is really nice and I'm feeling great in the moment, and then you're like, oh, but I get to go home to my partner, and that's the lovely part.
Yeah, that is the lovely part. And I think people always think, especially when they think about their partner seeing someone else, if they're not in the non-monogamous world, that their partner will see someone else and automatically think like, well, I've found a new one now. I don't need my girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever.
Yeah, that's
not how it works.
They're going to fall in love with someone else and then not want to come back to you. Or I guess it's the insecurities around yourself when it comes to that. And if you are feeling like insecure with yourself, then you might feel like, oh, obviously they're going to go, like, if they're going to be with someone else, they're definitely going to prefer that person because I'm not good enough. And if you have that narrative that you're not good enough, then those feelings are going to constantly come up in I mean, that's when it's probably not a very healthy time and place to have a non-monogamous relationship.
Definitely not.
That's hurtful. You're just hurting yourself in that circumstance.
And it's time to get yourself a therapist, because holy fuck, I feel like everyone who wants a successful relationship, monogamous or non-monogamous, should be seeing a therapist, because holy fucking shit, it sorts everything out.
Oh my God, it actually does. It's basically really just like having your own little like relationship guru all the time. It's the best thing ever.
I think what most people opt for is just using people on dating apps as therapists instead.
Oh my God.
Not the healthy way.
I literally had that experience recently. I had a date, sorry to go off topic. No, actually, this is still on topic, but like off the main topic. Went on a date with a dude and it turned into a therapy session. And it's okay, I've got permission that I can say this story. And it was one of those situations like, I need to get out of here because you are triggering me, because I remember what I felt like back, years ago, and you're in that place where you don't want to get help and you're just hoping it to change. And luckily, through the date and through talking to him afterwards, he's now changed his meds and he's now thinking about getting a therapist, which is just incredible. And he's just so grateful. He's like, thank you for changing that. So like, yeah, it happens. You can suddenly become someone's therapist on a date, and those are massive red warning flags that you need to decide whether or not you're willing to take on. A lot of people are like, oh my God, like savior complex. Like, it's okay, I will save you. And that is a dangerous thing. You need to be like, no, you need to go and get some help, and we can come back to this when stuff is different.
Yeah, it's easy to just feel flattered that someone's sharing with you and you're like, wow, we're getting so intimate and so deep. And then you realise, oh wait, no, this is all one-sided and I'm just giving you free advice.
That's exactly it.
You should be paying me.
Fuck. I've been there as well. We've all been there. We're in a bad place and we meet someone and we just explode out all of this really fucking dark shit because we're desperate to talk to somebody. Go and get a fucking therapist, please.
Yeah. So we've got a last question from one of our curious fuckers, and the question is, how can I get my partner into the idea of it, that being non-monogamy?
Ooh, I do not like the way that they've worded it, the get.
Right.
Yeah.
How can I get them to
how
do
can
anything?
I trick them to do this? Like, lure them into my cult? Like...
I feel like this is a question that comes up quite regularly when we ask people to ask questions about non-monogamy, and maybe not worded in that way.
No, I don't.
That is worded in a very...
Yeah, I don't think they meant it that way. It must just be like, I want to introduce non-monogamy to my partner. How can I do that?
Yeah, but also it's like if my partner doesn't want non-monogamy, like what do I do? Kind of situation.
Both situs.
It's such a sensitive topic, isn't it? Because it's so connected to our kind of like our ego, and we might think it's a personal attack on us when our partner wants to see other people. But generally speaking, it's not a reflection of the partner, it's a reflection of the self and their own capacity for love and intimacy and sex. And I think it's one of those conversations where you're just going to have to lay it on the table and say that you have been thinking about this and you can see it for yourself in your future. How does the partner feel like this? Can you send them a resource? Can you send them this podcast? Can you send them something that helps them understand where you're coming from and what you want? Or can you, if it's mainly sexual, can you relate it to a sexual fantasy and explain it in that way? And maybe they share the same fantasy and they've never wanted to talk about it. So it's going to be really individual how you approach this.
Yeah. I also think that someone's first reaction might be quite bad if they haven't really ever thought about it for themselves or their relationships or what they've seen for their lives. Because, a lot of people have a very like idealistic vision for their future and for their relationship. And quite often non-monogamy does not play a part in that, because you want that one person to be in love with you and only you, and you want all the attention always.
Especially now, it's all like out in the mainstream, and you've got like Louis Theroux's documentary on polyamory, which was horrible to watch and painted it in such a bad light. It really fucked it up, and it's like what you see, you know, when you think, oh, swingers and sex clubs, and you just think of like the worst possible thing, and it's just not like that at all. So if you say, oh, let's try non-monogamy or polyamory, someone might instantly go, oh my god, no, because they've seen something shitty about it.
Yeah, so you need to come armed with explanations of what it actually is. Like, do your homework and have an idea of the kind of non-monogamous or polyamorous relationship that you want, so that when they ask you questions, you can answer them.
Yeah. Why is it? Because they're gonna ask you, like, why do you want that? And you need to know why you do want it in your life. And I think listening to podcasts like this probably will give people quite a good idea as to why they might want it, or their partner might want to do it. Yeah,
maybe send them this podcast to listen to and be like, oh, you know, I never thought about non-monogamy until I saw this thing or heard this thing, and like, what do you think about this? It doesn't. I think a lot of people immediately assume that non-monogamy is just suddenly you've been in a long relationship and you just start fucking other people, and it doesn't work like that. Most of the time, it's very small baby steps for everyone.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be suddenly you fuck someone or go on a date. It could literally start off as, how do you feel about me sexting somebody? How do you feel about me getting a dating profile? How do you feel about me like watching porn? Even that kind of a conversation can open up how your partner might feel about you thinking about other people in a sexual or romantic way. And just sort of like you're both figuring it out together. Really?
Also, exploring things through like sex parties and threesomes can be a really, I guess, an easy way of stepping into
to make it physical rather than just fantasy and talking about it, because it is nerve-wracking. It's terrifying. Terrifying for everyone.
And a sex party is a good one because you don't have to participate. You can just go and watch and immerse yourself in an environment and then come away from it and see whether you wanted to take it any further. And just take those little baby steps. You don't have to have this perfect non-monogamous relationship straight away. You can take it at your own pace and you can set your own rules. And I think it's important for you to describe the benefits to your partner as well. Like, don't come at it just from a purely like, I want to do this because I want to have sex with other people. Like, make sure that they know it's about both of you and it's not just kind of like a selfish request on your behalf.
Yeah.
There are other apps you can use, like Field was originally the threesome app.
Yes.
So if you're not comfortable going to a sex party, you can get yourself on there. You can either be a profile as, you know, as one person, or you can have two separate profiles and link them within Field. Find a third party, or you can be a unicorn and go and find another couple to have fun with, or make it all a foursome. You know, there are plenty of ways, but all you can really do is just have conversations about it over a long period of time. It's not like, oh, if I talk about it once and they say no, that's it, it's over and done with. You know, come back to it and ask them why. Find out why they feel the way that they do about it.
Yeah. It puts an idea in their head as well. Just mentioning it, that they can like take what you said and take it away and really process that. And you know what? They might do their research. They might read up more about it, watch some TV that has like, open
not the Louis Theroux
relationships
documentary. Sorry, mate.
Anything but that.
Yeah, please.
I was thinking about, you know, that there was like You, Me and Her on Netflix, which was really like that was a polyamorous relationship, which could be, I think that's a really nice one to watch to sort of see how it works.
Yeah, even in The fucking Crown, there was a poly relationship, which I was like there waving my little flag, like, oh my god, yay! I was like, BBC The Crown. It was scandalous, really, at the time, but wow.
I think we also always get asked kind of, what if, you know, what do I do if I really want non-monogamy and my partner does not want non-monogamy, and does that mean that our relationship isn't going to work? And I think that's always obviously like always a question for that person themselves, because I think if you're always going to want non-monogamy and your partner's not ever going to want it, there's always going to be such a divide in your relationship where you're not fulfilled by the relationship because of the rules that are in place.
And I think it's okay to leave a relationship because of that. We have this idea that we have to like persevere with a relationship because it's what we have to do, but you don't. And if that is your like hard limit, you want to be non-monogamous and your partner doesn't, you might decide that that is more important to you, and that's okay. It's okay to be selfish in those kind of situations. 100%. Or you could decide to do a solo polyamorous thing where on your side you're poly and your partner stays monogamous, but again, they have to be on board with that, and it has to all be kind of honest and ethical and above board.
Above board.
Above board. Shipshape.
Well, while we're here, do we know any good like books? I know that there are a couple of books out there that are pretty good to read if you're a book reader. Like the Ethical Slut is a good one. What's the one by the guy talking about the mammals that talking about non-monogamy? What's it like?
Sex at Dawn.
Sex at
Thank
Dawn.
you. Sex at Dawn. I always forget the title of that one. And I bought them both, and I've not read either of them because I'm terrible at reading. But they're sitting there judging me as I get into bed on my phone.
You're like, I'm just scrolling through Instagram or TikTok.
No, that is not me. I'm not an Instagram or TikToker.
I think the Ethical Slut is a really good place to start, and it just lays out all the different types of relationship, and it gives you just an understanding of the ways that you're not actually hurting other people by being ethically non-monogamous when it's done the right way. And it's really reassuring if you have any of those kind of doubts, like, am I a bad person because I want to see multiple people? Like, reading a book like that can really affirm to you that you're not, and it can be normal. And it describes things like how to set boundaries within your relationship and how to negotiate, and kind of the emotional intelligence side of it that comes along with being non-monogamous. So it's a really good place to start for sure. I struggled reading that. I read like the first couple of pages and I was like, what the fuck? I don't understand. But that could just be dyslexia for you. I'm just like, please book on tape this, I beg you. Yes.
Well, if you don't like books, we actually have like a few videos up on non-monogamy on our Instagram.
That's very true.
Maybe on our YouTube as well, but I think mainly on our Instagram we kind of talk more about our own experiences with non-monogamy and our kind of individual journeys, which can be really interesting, I think, if you're thinking about trying out non-monogamy for the first time.
Yeah, do you know what? That's a good point in general. Like, there are so many Instagram accounts out there that talk about polyamory and open relationships and give advice, and they just give snippets of wisdom and accounts of people's relationships. And that's a really great place to start, just to surround yourself with it so that it becomes a normal thing.
One last question from our curious fuckers as well is, what do you do about telling your family and friends about being non-monogamous?
You can do what we've all done and speak about it on a podcast.
You're like, please, family, just listen to this.
I would like to refer you to Exhibit A.
Episode B.
Or you could just invite all your partners round for Christmas dinner.
I mean, you above all else know your family better than anyone. You know how they might react, or you can kind of judge it, especially when you've talked about or brought up other things that could be similar, like sexuality or relationships or sex even. If you have a family that you know will accept it and they seem pretty cool and laid back, then you can just slip it into conversation. It doesn't have to be this idea of like, mum, dad, brothers, sisters, everyone, please, like, I am non-monogamous. And it's like, whoa! Like some fucking gender reveal party bullshit. It doesn't have to be like that, but it can be if you so choose. It can just be like, so me and my partner and my partner and my partner, it could just be chill. And if they ask you about it, then feel free to indulge, because they're asking, and that's really sweet. I always feel like, instead of just like the scoop over, like, oh cool, but then you know what, that might also be cool too.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think if you don't think your family's going to fully understand, or if you want to keep it private as well, that is totally okay too. You don't have to tell your family that you're non-monogamous. It might be none of their fucking business what you do in your spare time, especially if you have a primary partner anyway that they know. You might not want your parents to know that you're off fucking other people. I mean, your parents don't really want to know about your sex life anyway, so...
But they might want to know about your partners and the people you care about. So maybe if it is just a fuck, it's not really necessary. But if it is somebody else that you care about, and maybe you want to bring them round to the next like barbecue, then it is worth telling them.
Yeah, and I think if you think it's fundamental to your identity now, you know, you've decided that you identify as polyamorous, maybe that's when you decide to come out to your parents and you would say, hey, look, I'm polyamorous, and then just let them ask any questions. Maybe they'll just feel so awkward they don't want to ask any questions. And they'll be like, okay, do you want a cup of tea?
Cool. Nice. That's my mum, bless her.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, on that note, we have to round up, unfortunately. But Poppy, it's been so amazing. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah,
thank you so much for having me. It's been great.
Also, we didn't really talk about what you do for a living either,
And who you are.
Yeah, like just
am I?
do some name dropping, please, now.
Sure. I am a purveyor of pleasure objects. So basically, I own an online sex toy boutique called South and More. Please check us out.
It's amazing.
Yes. Beautiful
Really
toys. Everything's body safe. We don't use gender labels on our website. And it's just a curated selection of lovely products and pleasure education articles. So follow us on Instagram and check out our website.
And where might those be? What's your Instagrams
Ooh.
and your website?
How funny you should ask. South and More is southandmore.co.uk or .com if you're international. At South and More on socials, and I am at poppyscarlet_ on Instagram.
Wonderful.
Ooh, yeah. And if you've ever seen us in our wanker t-shirts,
Oh yeah, favourite tea.
of Poppy.
The best ones.
Oh god.
So
Yes,
good.
if
Oh,
you-
my mate actually sent me a screenshot of someone they saw on Hinge, I think it was. Screenshotted it and sent it over. It was like, there's a wanker tea. So cute,
That
right?
is so interesting because someone told me that story from the other side of it, but they couldn't remember who it was that they'd sent it.
shit.
Like I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
Maybe
someone
they're just
was like,
floating around.
what? Maybe this has happened more than once.
Ooh.
I've seen a few wanker teas on Field actually. So
Oh,
they're out
nice.
there.
I love.
Yeah, they are awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Curious Fuckers, for listening to this episode. We hope it's been informative, or at least sort of painted a better picture for you about what non-monogamy actually is.
Yeah. And if you have any other questions about non-monogamy, we can always drop it in again to another episode at the end where we answer what you give a fuck about. So please email it in at fksgiven@comecurious.co.uk.
Also, if you want to follow us on other platforms, fuck me, what am I doing? We have an Instagram, of course, at Come Curious. We also have our personal accounts, Reed Amber X and Florence Bark, as well as if you're not watching this on YouTube, you can watch the whole episode with all of our beautiful faces on fucking YouTube. And also, if you don't want to watch our faces, then go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever. And then you can listen to it on your commute because YouTube is shit for that.
Yeah, and of course, if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe to this podcast. Leave us a rating and a review. That would be so fucking awesome if you did that. So yeah, head over to Apple Podcasts, leave a review, 5 stars, and
5 stars, quick, 5 stars. And yeah, we will see you or hear you. No, we won't. You'll see us or hear us next Thursday.
see you next Thursday, curious fuckers.
Love you all. Bye.